I am stepping forward now for the sake of the entire country, for the sake of the wealthy and for the sake of the impoverished, for the sake of the elderly and for the sake of the young, for the sake of Democrats, Republicans, and independents, for the sake of Main Street and for the sake of Wall Street, for the sake of special interests and corporations in this country, and for the sake of every man and woman and child in this country. Because the reality is that our fates are tied to one another. We're either going to thrive or sink together. And I love everyone. I want prosperity, peace, democracy, and opportunity for all. So I am stepping forward to point out an observation that I don't really hear anyone else saying. And to understand my point, I think we need to start by reflecting upon the nature of power itself. It's an old philosophical adage that bears constant repeating. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. What I'm going to suggest to you is that money is essentially just power in paper form. Okay, so too much power, too much money is concentrated in the hands of too few. And for the sake of every person and the sake of every corporation, we need to come together and redress the balance of power in this country. It's completely out of whack and it's completely unsustainable. We need to have, all of us need to have a vibrant, healthy middle class in this country to ensure a healthy, vibrant society, to ensure a healthy economy, and to ensure a healthy democracy. So when you think about the United States Constitution, it is essentially a blueprint to ensure a balance of power, a healthy distribution of power within government, so that no one person or no one small group has too much power within the system. The Founding Fathers understood the nature of power. It has to be dispersed equitably. And furthermore, democracy itself is essentially just, it's a system in which each person within the system has a share of power. So we the people have power in a democracy, thanks to the Founding Fathers, and that power is the right to vote. You know, democracy is great. There's no better form of government that humans have ever created to both create a healthy government and ensure a healthy, functional government that addresses effectively the needs of the people, that ensures a healthy economy and a healthy society. It can be messy. There are going to be disagreements which are healthy. The country can be equally split on an issue. And that is why debate is so important and vital, in fact. But it has to be a healthy debate. We don't have that right now. Both the establishment Republicans and Democrats have partisan bickering, this whole good guy, bad guy, our way is right. We need to do better than that. We need to evolve. We need to grow up. A healthy debate, a healthy political discourse mandates that there's mutual respect and an understanding. We're not going to always see eye to eye, but there are human common truths that we celebrate. We all want personal liberty to live our lives as freely as possible. We believe in equality, and we believe in the idea of democracy, that everyone should have a say in how their government runs. The Founding Fathers understood the value of democracy, but they also understood that democracy is only going to work if the people are vigilant and maintain their power within the system, that they exercise their right to vote. So I want to point out to you, the underlying issue in the United States is that we the people dropped the ball. We have not lived up to our end of the bargain in a democracy to ensure a healthy government that is vital and functional. Less than half the people in this country vote. We stopped paying attention to how our leaders vote. We stopped holding them accountable. And now, make no mistake, we are at a critical point in this nation's history. You know what's great about America? The idea of America. Again, equality, liberty, democracy, justice, a nation of immigrants, a cultural melting pot based on mutual value and respect and dignity. However, the reality of America has never lived up to those noble ideals. Never. We have always been racist, sexist bigots, and we have all suffered because of it. Well, I think we've patiently suffered long enough. Abraham Lincoln closed out his Gettysburg Address with this famous phrase, basically an appeal that government of the people, for the people, by the people, should never perish from the earth. And the sad reality is that is not what we currently have in the United States. What we currently have is government of the people, meaning that yes, we can run for office, we can hold those positions, but we don't have government for the people. The government doesn't work for us. It works for corporations and special interests. It does their bidding. And we are this close to having government by the corporations and special interests, meaning that with their virtually unlimited influence to pour unlimited money into the election process, exacerbated by the disastrous Citizens United decision, they can essentially prop up puppet candidates who are simply going to do their bidding. They really have almost all the power of Washington, D.C. They have their way on almost any issue, every issue. And again, this country is on the verge of failure. It's so bad right now that the powers that be, the establishment, the moneyed interests and corporations, are actively disenfranchising people's right to vote, making it harder for United States citizens to cast their vote, and undermining the integrity of our democracy. Folks, many of our parents and ancestors fought and died for the right to vote. This is your power in the system, and if you let it go, if you don't exercise your right, it's the powers that be, those corporations and moneyed interests, that are going to take it happily. And it's just the inherent nature of power to seize more. You can't even blame them for it. Again, it's inherent in their nature. You have to exercise your power. You've got to stand up, reclaim that power for your own sake and for the sake of all, because our fates are tied to one another. And the future of this country rests on our shoulders to keep our power in the system. 4 more years of the status quo with a corrupt campaign finance system and corrupt leaders is a bleak future indeed. Republicans, Democrats, progressives, independents know, largely, we have to get money out of our political system if anything is going to get fixed. If we're going to seriously tackle climate change, wealth inequality, and restore the middle class, if we're going to tackle and rebuild our infrastructure that's crumbling, that we all rely upon, that a vibrant, healthy economy relies upon, if we're going to improve education and healthcare, making it more affordable and accessible, if we're going to do a decent job taking care of providing for our veterans, if we're going to do anything to stem the tide of gun violence in this country, we have to get money out of politics. So I'm here to tell you that Bernie Sanders is actually the non-partisan choice for president, and we need a peaceful political revolution to restore democracy. We need the American Revolution 2.0 to restore government for the people. He's the only one saying it. He's been saying it for more than 30 years. We need to get the corruption out of politics. The establishment, Republicans and Democratic parties, in an unbridled pursuit of money and power, do virtually everything to appease those wealthy donors and special interests, and virtually nothing for the people. So you want a litmus test to gauge whether a candidate is qualified to do right by the people and govern effectively? Simple. Look at their political career and their record. Have they used their fame and power to become super wealthy? How many times have they changed their tune on an issue or changed their position on an issue for political expediency? Because someone who does that is not in politics to help others, to make society better. They are in politics to further their own fame, power, and money. It is inherent in their nature. And I don't vilify them or demonize them. I understand there's a segment of the human race that's always driven by greed for money, and greed for power. It's just inherent in their nature, but they're very dangerous when they're in power. My fellow Americans, the fateful hour is at hand. Let us recommit ourselves to the ideals that gave birth to this country. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, and we are all endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are the rights to life, liberty, to be ourselves and pursue our dreams, and to pursue happiness in any way that we see fit, so long as we aren't hurting anyone else or infringing upon anyone else's rights. Let us be the first generation in this country's history to live up to the noble ideas that we espouse: liberty, justice, and democracy. I have full faith that we will.